everyone. The 3 Knockdown Rule is in effect. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mandalay Bay Lopez. We've got a lot of controversy to talk about. I am not happy. I'm heated.
Mandalay Bay, an underrated venue, which it's been a minute since I've been there. I'm glad they're still holding fights. And our MGM Grand, Justin Buffalo Knuckles out
What's
here.
up, guys? We've got so much boxing to talk about, but let's go to the zone. Fantasy Springs, it was Friday night fights, Indio, California, and it's twice as nice. As Rob Bass once said, it takes two, and Andrew Cancio made it 2 for 2 against Alberto Machado, knocking him out in 3. It was no fluke. Mario, he just absolutely ground him up to the body again.
I love that this is the year of upsets. And I got to be honest, I thought a more well-prepared Machado, not distracted, having a nutritionist, put in a hard camp over wild card, it was going to be a difficult fight. I thought it was a 50-50 fight going in, but to be honest, not that I thought it was a fluke, but I just thought Machado was a talented guy and a blue chipper. Man, it was such a fun fight to see Cancio really continue to not be overwhelmed by the moment, rise to the occasion yet again, and have such a smart game plan and execute it perfectly. That first round, when Machado came out and he was landing that right hook, I said, ooh, because he had dropped him in the first fight, remember? And I said, ooh, that's not going to be, he's got to get inside quick. But he was able to close that distance. He was able to start working the body and attacking it in a relentless manner. He let those hands go. The pressure, the combinations broke him down. And when he ended it with that beautiful body shot,
Dare we say it was a jackhammer?
Exactly. Yeah. Like any dude that gets up and runs in the morning, then goes and works a jackhammer 8 hours a day, and then goes and trains, that is a special kind of dedication, and that is a man that is not to be messed with. I don't want to hear about anybody ever complain when you're living a lifestyle like that. That is a true champion in every sense of the word. I like him as an individual. I like him as a fighter a lot, which, by the way, I think he's a dangerous out. That's a talented division, but I think he's going to be a tough out now with this confidence, with this new style, the way he's throwing in punches and bunches and the relentless pressure and those heavy hands, those forearms on that kid. Dang. Here's the only thing, though, my only concern, as much as I love the story that he's going to report to work on Monday and he works for the city.
The reality of it.
The reality of it is, like, look, now at this elite level, you got to focus full time, bro. You've got to really, you only get an opportunity like this once in a lifetime. You got to dedicate for the window that you're a champion, full time, focus on being a fighter.
For Andrew Cancio, for Chango, there was no monkey business. This is what he told the media about his second victory over Alberto Machado.
Harper in the first fight, but like I said, the first time I was very timid, trying to fight his fight. He caught me with a couple straight left hands, hook, but this time around I wasn't scared, so I was ready for it. But once he started landing those body shots and I heard him, I said, all right. And then I settled down. I was trying to be too anxious to go after him, and I just stopped him in the third round. Right. So after the second round, my coach said, he goes, how do you feel? I go, I got it. And then I come after I stopped him. He goes, you told me you got it. Because I started feeling that it was just one body shot away, but I wanted to knock him out in the head. But he has a good chin, but he thought I was going to go in there for the check hook, and his body was wide open, his elbow was up, and boom, I switched it up on him, and down he went.
Andrew, Mario, being there ringside, I thought Machado had a pretty good first 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Long, lengthy jab. And Freddie said before the fight, we got to box him, got to keep him at a distance. But when that airspace was breached, and all of a sudden he started grinding him on the outside and then made it to an inside trench battle, when he walked back to his corner in the second round, he looked wobbly, and I said, ooh, this ain't Wepa. This is not looking good for the Puerto Rican, and you could see it coming. And agree or disagree, does Andrew Cancio's renaissance kind of remind you of when Orlando Salido got his career going, that if you fight on the inside, that his offensive skills are vastly underrated from the mid-range and in close?
Very good comparison. and another flashy, well-skilled, slick Puerto Rican fighter who can also crack. When Salido get over there, I love that series when they back-to-back.
Juanma, in fact. You're right. There's a parallel. And he was a southpaw, too.
Exactly. And the fact, just the heart. I mean, it really plays into those Mexican-Puerto Rican rivalries, but the heart, the balls of these Mexicanos, the way to cover. The one thing I didn't mention, by the way, when I saw that cut over Cancio, I said, ooh.
It was a gash, too.
Yeah, it was a gash. I said, ooh, it's going to get in his eye. This is not gonna, and it was right on the eye where that right hook could have landed. I said, this is going to be bad news. He remained focused. He felt the sense of urgency and even attacked more and was able to close it. But I was concerned after that as well. So all the more credit, man. And I know there was talk immediately of possibly a Jojo Diaz rematch, and Jojo Diaz, who was also there. And Jojo Diaz, I believe, stopped him in the 11th, right?
Yeah, it was on one of the Canelo cards in Dallas.
Correct.
2016.
I gotta say, this is a different fighter
different
this time
guy.
around.
Different
guy.
guy.
That is a tough. Ooh, that's a
Well,
tough.
keep this in mind,
fight.
though. He still has to face another guy that he actually knocked down in 2015. I called the fight alongside Doug Fisher and Beto Duran. Rene Alvarado's is WBA mandatory, so that has to come first.
Right. There are no easy outs.
No, there are none. I spoke to Freddie Roach on Saturday after I worked out at Wildcard. I said, Freddie, what happened? I go, do you, in your opinion, not to take away any credit from Cancio, but did making 130 once again, even if it was a little bit easier process, did it strip away the constitution from Machado? And he said, yeah, couldn't take the body shots. He goes, Steven, once he couldn't keep him out at distance, he goes, fight was over. So it is one of those, look, certain guys just match up really well with certain fighters. And you're right about Cancio. I asked him a couple weeks ago, do you keep that job because of the benefits for your two kids? And he said, yeah. Because one thing about boxing, it may pay you well, but if you're not making life-changing money, there's also this reality. There's no pension, and there's no benefits for your kids.
It's a tough position to be in because if you want to continue to get those big prize fight purses,
you have to keep winning.
You got to keep winning, and to keep winning, you got to be committed 100%. So it's that tough.
But you know what's funny, though? His trainer says, though, I honestly like him having another job because Cancio, I asked him, hey, what would you be doing if you didn't have a job? He goes, I'd be at the brewery all day. So, in a way, it does make him a harder individual. It makes him more disciplined. But Andrew Cancio, what a fan-friendly fighter he's become. And one of the stories of 2019.
Just a great story.
Mario, the co-main was a memorable finish.
Man,
and
the whole weekend had great fights.
Wow, it was not wet for the Puerto Ricans. I thought Tito Acosta had built himself a pretty substantial lead against the tough, hard-nosed Mexican in Elwin Soto. And I said, all he has to do before the 12th to retain his WBO junior flyweight title, stay on your feet. Now, I want to take something back that I said on Twitter saying the corner messed up by not telling him this. Turns out they did. I watched the fight on the Zone again. They said, don't be risky in there. Well, that's on the fighter then, because at the end of 11 rounds, the scorecards were 107-101, 106-102, 105-103 to Acosta. Now, don't you think as a fighter that if your trainer says, don't be risky, and I thought he had separated himself the last 5 rounds.
Right.
Sometimes if you're a football team with a 17-point lead with about 7 minutes to go, you got to run the ball. Go into the 4 corners. You know?
Yes, but sometimes it's easier said than done, and the other fighter doesn't give you the opportunity.
No, but he attacked him, though. That's the thing. He came right to Soto.
Well, that was a weird choice. I don't know if he felt that he wasn't winning and he wanted to make a statement or close the show out. Here's the thing, though. As far as a premature stoppage, and it looks like it was stopped a little early, but you never know what the ref is seeing in that fighter's eyes. I had an issue with 2 refs in the Regal fight, which we'll get into in a second, but you never know if, like, even though his hands were up, you don't know if his eyes look glazed, if they kind of I always say it's better too soon than too late, because look at Zab Judah, look at so many examples of that happen. So at least you live to fight another day. So I always, it's hard to question, but it'd be in the 12th round. It's a tougher pill to swallow.
Right, and you know what? I'm glad I don't have that job. Listen, Thomas Taylor is a good young referee. For the next 15, 20, 25 years, he'll be in big fights, and he'll have earned them. I think he's a world-class referee, but I respectfully disagree with that call. Do I think it's the worst stoppage ever? I think if he just lays back another second or 2 or 3, the thing was, you're right, Acosta seemed to be out on his feet for a quick second.
Right.
He didn't have his wherewithal, but his hands were up, and this is where I disagree. The next 2 punches landed by Soto seemed to be to the body and to the forearm, to the elbow area. So it's not like he was jerking his head back.
No.
To me, if I'm Thomas Taylor, I kind of assess the situation for another split second or two and see where it goes. That's where I have the issue with the stoppage.
I would have liked to have seen that as well, but again, I don't know if he looked in his eyes and maybe were a little glossy or he was starting to close. Who knows what he saw? Only he knows when he's in there. But speaking with De La Hoya afterwards, who really loved the card, the plan is to have those two do a rematch in the Canelo fight in September on the undercard.
Yes.
So that's the plan right now. Also, he told me that fight is going to come to fruition. The one I told you, the card in Pasadena. So he's
Old Town
Pasadena. We all got to go to that.
Early August, right?
There.
Awesome.
Yes, in August, outside, right in front of City Hall. So some breaking news right there. That fight is going to happen in Pasadena, and the rematch with Acosta Soto will be on the Canelo undercard. So that's exciting right there.
There you have it. The 3 knockdown rule. Adrian Wojnarowski. Breaking news. Mario Lopez. Mario, what
or
a
Adam Schefter.
Now, I have to tell you, I moved this fight up on our format because I thought, whatever. It's going to be very forgettable. But you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed the PBC on Fox from the Mandalay Bay where the Flying Fishes play and Jermell Charlo with the highlight reel knockout over Jorge Cota. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Guillermo Rigondeaux. Fan-friendly, exciting, entertaining. Never thought I'd say that with him.
Never thought I'd say that was a great fight.
Loved
by
it.
Rigondeaux. Dude, that was a great fight. Now, I'm still baffled as why he chose to fight the type of fight that he did where he was inside in the pocket, which, by the way, maybe he just got a wake-up call and said, you know what, I'm tired, or he started reading comments about himself on Twitter. I'm tired of people saying I think he alluded to something like that in the interview, post-fight interview, a little bit. But it appeared like he had some sort of epiphany where I don't want anyone to talk about me anymore, that I run and that I stink up the joint and that I'm a boring fighter. My man stayed in the pocket. He was exchanging blow for blows. He was, to his detriment most of the time, because that head movement wasn't there a lot. But that was some beautiful infighting by both fighters. Now, this bothered me. The ref in this fight bothered me more than the ref in the other fight.
Russell Nomura, please.
Let me tell you
Good
something.
grief.
It really bothered me because none of those supposed low blows were really that low.
Yeah.
They were both on the belt, and when you don't hear a fighter complain, I always say let him fight.
Let it go.
You let it go. But he had him so paranoid, and I thought at the end, Kim, when he warned them, or pardon me, he took the points away.
What
for
a
both of them,
cop-out. It's a cop-out.
Which is so stupid.
It's a cop-out.
Exactly. You
It's a
take them both
cop-out.
away. And then it allowed the recuperating time for Rigondeaux. I think it made a big, big difference when he was able to catch him with that big left. Because Ceja, I thought, was being very smart with the combinations, was getting to him, was starting to wear him down. But the little break, that little respite, gave Rigondeaux enough time to really, to maybe to gather himself a little bit and to land that big left. I thought Ceja was the busier fighter, letting his hands go in there. Yes, Rigondeaux looked sharp in some of his counter punches, but I thought Ceja was getting the better of a lot of those exchanges. But I think the ref interfering a lot with the multiple unnecessary warnings because no fighter was complaining, the bullshit taking the point away from both of them, and the break that he gave Rigondeaux, that played into that big left hand that caught him. Do you disagree?
No, look, Mario, you wore in the cup when you sparred. When something doesn't bother you, you just keep fighting.
Exactly.
There are certain low blows you're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Neither guy was even affected by it.
No one was complaining.
And
That's the crazy thing.
And as Joe Goosen pointed out, most of them are on the belt, which is a
Right.
very thick part of that protector. Second of all, Rigo stood right inside the pocket. I believe it's because he's run out of legs. He's 38 years old.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, maybe he didn't have a choice.
There
Maybe it wasn't a conscious. You're exactly right. By the way, now he's
Right.
very watchable.
If you don't have that fifth gear anymore, you're not gonna be on that Autobahn. You're gonna be in the middle lane at 55 to
Right.
65 miles per hour, and you could tell he wasn't adept at slipping punches on the inside.
No,
A
that
lot
head
of
was right in the middle.
A lot of guys are elusive because of their feet and the distance. Certain guys like Pernell Whitaker could be right next to you and make you miss.
James Toney.
Right. That's not his style. In the 6th round, I thought Ceja hit him with that left uppercut, and I'm like, wow.
Yes.
I've actually never seen Rigondeaux get hit with multiple punches and combinations.
Not even Lomachenko.
Now, going into the 8th, it could have been 5-2 or 4-3 for Ceja.
That's how I had it.
And I'm thinking, wow. Now, the knockdown happens with that flash left, and it was good because Rigo was the harder puncher. 'Cause
that
he
was
a little
after
sharp.
the break. Though.
Right.
Remember, that was after the break.
Now, I asked Joel Diaz, who trained Ceja, did you like the stoppage? He called it bull spit. He said, Steve, my fighter got up and he answered every single question. in my view, a referee has to assess the situation. Has this guy earned the right to fight on?
Correct.
The time of the stoppage, it was 2:59. So in other words, he was going to get saved by the bell. Then you get an extra 60 seconds. Again, now if Ceja was getting bludgeoned and it was 7-0, 8-0, then you're like, you know what? What's the point?
Right.
He had earned the right to at least be looked at in the corner.
I agree 100%, and I thought the referee really did a poor job and was a major factor in that fight. And it took away from what was a great fight.
Yeah.
It left me upset for Ceja, not to take anything away from Rigo, because again, it was a great fight, but I thought the way he carried and conducted that fight, the ref, really affected the outcome.
When
of
he
that
waved
fight.
it off, I was like, wait a minute.
Yes, in the pre-match,
I couldn't.
oh man, I was mad. It was such a good fight.
And you're right. In terms of the way Rigo fights, if he sits in the pocket again, I would actually ask Ronnie Shields, his trainer, has your guy just run out of legs? That's not what he is.
You're right. That's probably what happened.
Erislandy Lara, who's kind of like a bigger version of Rigo, he's run out of legs. A lot of tread on that tire. He doesn't move nearly as much as he did back in like 2011, 2012. Now, you want to talk about the other end of the spectrum in terms of refereeing. Jay Nady, he must not like Jorge Cota. Because if there was a fight where a guy should have been stopped after the first knockdown, and by the way, the referees nowadays are taught, step to me, walk left.
Right,
they
exactly. You say, come to me. Exactly. He just failed to do that. Coda's been around.
Cota looked like me after happy hour.
Yeah.
I just kind of leaning around going,
By the way,
guess I'm okay.
Cota looks like that before even getting hit.
Right.
That's an unorthodox cat.
If Cota was at the bar, you'd call Uber for him.
Cat, he's a big junior middleweight.
Gangly, awkward.
He throws punches at weird angles, and then he switched. He thinks he's Terrence Crawford-esque in there. Well, that was to his demise, because when he switched to southpaw and stayed that way, and Charlo came in, boom, with that big right hand. That should have been it. And then when Nady didn't ask him to come forward,
what are you
and
doing?
he hit him with that big one, too. Oh, folded him. Yeah, that was unfortunate, and I wish Nady would have done that, but to me, the other ref bothered me more.
Yeah, because we know that, there's no doubt about the Cota fight. You knew Charlo was going to win the fight. I love Charlo's variation of the right hand. The first one was a short right that he kind of shortened up.
Right.
The second one was right down Main Street.
Yes.
Straight right hand, and Cota just went to remember the Nestea plunge?
Yes.
I was like, geez, poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Now, hopefully, I got to tell you, did you have a problem with Tony Harrison pulling out of this fight with an ankle injury and then actually showing up to the fight?
Not if it's legit. I mean, he's not doing laps in there, right? And I think he continues to keep himself,
because Charlo's absolutely convinced that there was no injury.
That doesn't make any sense. Why would he want to do that? You're not getting paid. So
well, I hope the rematch happens next. Okay,
I agree.
I want to see other fight. Look, you could rip the Charlos all you want, both of them, for their level of competition. But this particular weekend, I'm sorry, Harrison's the one who pulled out 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Charlo should not be forced to pull out of that date because of some other injury that has nothing to do with him.
Who did you favor in that fight going in?
Well, look, I've been on record, and Tony Harrison hates that I say it on Twitter. I thought Charlo clearly beat Harrison 116-112 back in December. I don't know if anything was going to really change in the rematch, except hopefully the judging. So we'll go. Anyway, moving on. Friday, ESPN from Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula, California. The main event of the night is the IBF lightweight title. Richard Commey, who takes on Ray Beltran. And speaking of age, I've always thought Ray was a very good technician. When guys come at him like Commey will, he could pick them apart. But 38 is 38, and the last time we saw him, in fact, last two times, a lot of signs of wear and tear.
I've always been a big fan of Ray, and obviously has had many gym wars, being Pacquiao's sparring partner, and he seemed to have gotten his credit and made his money in the later part of his career, but when that happens, then that latter part is a small little window. So can he pull a rabbit out of the hat? Does he still? It remains to be seen. But yeah, talking about tread on the tires, he definitely has some missing.
This is what Ray Beltran told me last week at the gym as he prepared at the wild card for Richard Commey. Ray, as you look ahead to your fight with Richard Commey, let's go back a little bit. The fight last year with Pedraza, I know there were a lot of things going on. How frustrating was that, given the fact not only did you lose your title, but There was a career-high payday on the line with Vasyl Lomachenko. How do you look back at that whole night and what took place?
Well, I was very frustrated, very emotional, but very hurt. I don't take anything away from Pedraza. I feel like I still could won the fight, but the circumstances didn't help, at all. It was a learning lesson for me personally, that I had to make changes, in my career.
I know your left hand was an issue, Ray. Has that been rectified?
Yeah, I had a torn tendon. I hurt my hand like 2 weeks before the fight. I'm not making excuses. I'm not trying to take a credit away from Pedraza. But we tried to treat it. I thought it was gonna be okay. I never thought I was gonna win the fight. And but the second round, my hand was gone. But even regardless of that, even without, it was some other things, that really were on the way, for me to win the fight. I still believe if things were different, I don't want to blame nobody, it's all my fault, but it was a lot going on, that night. I still could win the fight,
Ray, have you had a procedure on that hand to get that fixed?
Yeah, I had a surgery right here.
Near the wrist area.
Yeah, and they cut the tendon out, It's good now.
Ray, your last fight against Hirooki Okada was at 140. Now, I had also heard that making 135 last year was a bit of an issue. Now you're back to 35. What made you go back to the lightweight division? Well,
it haven't really been an issue, You always struggle to make weight, but we make weight healthy, we make weight good, But, we had this opportunity to fight for the lightweight title and 135, so it's a good opportunity for us, so that's why we took it.
Facing a hard-nosed, tough African from Ghana, Richard Commey. He's strong, he's big. How do you view him? What would you compare him in terms of skill levels to some of your past opponents?
Well, I think Richard Commey, what I can see is I feel like I see myself on him. I think one of those tough fighters, just make his own way to the top, He's making his way to the top in boxing. I think it's better and tougher than boxing world seems to be.
Mm-hmm. For this particular fight, you have employed Freddie Roach as your trainer after all these years in the wild card. Now you're actually trained by Freddie. What brought on that decision?
Well, we had to make changes, like I said, in my team. In my last camp, it was kind of messed up camp, I was gonna hire Marvin Zamudio, but he had to go back to the Philippines for his visa. And then from there, we just basically I train myself,
Ray, could we take this as a sign that in many respects, you even believe, hey, I can't lose this fight. This might be my last shot, so I need to get the best possible trainer, period?
Yeah, well, I think Freddie was interested in training me, and that gave me confidence, that he believes in me. But yeah, every fight for me, it's been a while since every fight has been like, I must win, must win. So this one more fight that is like that, that I have to win this fight,
Ray, I looked at your box rec. I didn't realize this. You began your career in 1999.
Yeah.
You're in your 20th year. Did you ever imagine when you're just this young kid, you'd be doing this for at least 20 years?
No, I never imagined, I never thought I was gonna do it for so long, even at this age, But I'm confident because I believe in myself, because I'm here at the gym, spar all those tough guys and very talented guys, even guys way younger than me, top kids, and I still do good. So that tells me that I feel good to compete,
Do you still enjoy the sport as you once did? Or is it just strictly business now, something you do to basically take care and provide for your family?
You know what? I love the sport of boxing, but I don't see it as I used to. And I was so innocent. It's like in life and everything, you know. I used to see like I was so innocent, you know. I believe in so many things more than I just don't believe in it no more, you know. Because now it's a business, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I put myself out of the business and I enjoy the sport.
Right.
And I love to win, you know.
You've had so many ups, so many downs. It's been a roller coaster career. I'm assuming that winning the world title and calling yourself a world champion for a stretch is probably the highlight of your career. What do you think? Is there any regrets about your run as a professional prize fighter?
Yeah, I think I put my heart first. You know, I didn't think about it as a business. And I think I let myself down, you know, in many situations in life. And that's what I really regret of, you know what I mean?
June 28th, you take on Richard Commey for the IBF lightweight title. I don't know. No, you probably don't want to make a prediction, but how do you envision that fight going?
I believe I'm going to win the fight, you know. Richard Commey is a tough fighter, you know. I'm more excited to fight Richard Commey than fight for the world title.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you can fight for a belt, but you fight for a belt that against nobody, you don't really get much credit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you're world champion, but who you took it from, you know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, it's all about who you fight, you know. So I'm excited to fight Richard Commey, and that's my goal to beat him.
So, Mario, in talking to Ray Beltran, I didn't know this, but prior to the Jose Pedraza fight last year, he had a really bad hand injury. In fact, I saw the scar next to his left wrist going into his hand. I remember in that fight, he'd step inside, there'd be no hooks, and that's one of his better punches. Yes. And he also said, Steve, listen, I've made changes. He's now with Freddie Roach. So I think he even knows in his own mind, this is the last chance saloon. If I don't get this done, there is no future. I'll go back on the club scene if I want to do it. Now, the winner of this fight, since this is an IBF mandatory, gets the winner of the Teofimo Lopez fight against Masayoshi Nakatani. So there's a lot of things at stake. Not just one big fight, but really two for everyone involved. And by the way, seeing some footage of Teofimo Lopez that his father sent me, boy, he looks like a tank.
He looks he's been a tank, but he's letting the wig get a little longer too. I like that.
But there is some.
I think that bodes well.
But there's a lot of focus. Also, the co-feature on this ESPN card later this week, Carlos Adames in a junior middleweight battle takes on Patrick May-Day. Then Showtime, Houston, Texas, from the NRG Arena for the interim WBC middleweight title. Jermell Charlo takes on Brandon Adams.
The brother.
Mario, we say this all the time about certain fighters that are not aligned with the right promoter or network. When it comes to middleweights, most of them are on other sides of the table, namely the zone. I hate to say it, but is Jermell Charlo on the wrong side of the street?
Unfortunately for him, I think he is, and he's a marketable guy too. He fights, handsome kid, nicest. Him and his brother, nicest teeth in boxing. Those guys have the nicest grills.
Yeah.
So very marketable.
They got the Colgate smile.
Right?
They floss, they brush, I can tell.
Yeah, you know, they're very appealing, marketable guys, but unfortunately you need dance partners, and they're not on the same side of the street.
Now, Brandon Adams won the last season of The Contender. In fact, he was in the running to face Gennady Golovkin a couple of weeks ago. He talked about that process leading in to signing for Jermell Charlo.
Brandon, let's go back a little bit. A couple of months ago, people thought you were going to fight Gennady Golovkin. How close do you think you were to getting that assignment?
Me fighting Triple G, I mean, I could say it was real close, but then again, it was just so far away. What they offered, it wasn't what I was interested in. They wanted to fight at a heavier weight. Naturally, I fight at 154. I'm taking the opportunity of fighting guys at 160. I know that I'm, normally the smarter guy, but, these are opportunities that I can't pass up. And also, the amount of money they was offering to fight somebody like Triple G, it just didn't make any sense at all.
So you do end up with the Charlo fight, based on everything that you talked about, the weight, the money, the opportunity. Was it a better option for you when it was all said and done?
Yeah, most definitely. Everything that the Charlo's team had offered me for this fight, it was more appealing. I'm grateful to, the opportunity that Triple G offered me because it opened the door for something like this to take place. It kind of put my name out there more than what it was, fighting somebody like Triple G, an international boxing star. So I'm very grateful to that. But yes, Charlo's team, they definitely capitalized on that, and I was sold.
Let's go back. Last year you were involved in the Contender. This is how you really got into the running for some of these big names. Your career, I remember you were in the Boxino, had that disappointing loss to John Thompson, then you kind of disappeared for a while. How did the Contender, how did that come into your life?
You know what? They kept calling me, asking for me to join the show, and I kept turning them down, telling them that I wasn't who I am, because I didn't want to have anything to do with boxing, because, how my last fight wound up turning out. I wind up losing because I lost a lot of weight right before the fight, and it was a shell of me that night when I fought John Thompson. He knows, I know it. Credit to him and his team and everything they did to get that opportunity, because he wasn't even supposed to make the show. But my team was actually, it was falling apart, eternally. It was just me and my trainer Dub Hundy, and like loved ones who pretty much pushed me through. But as far as management and promotion goes, at that point in time, man, I felt like nobody had my back or best interest for me. So that's pretty much how everything led out. Yeah. So I was told I wasn't fighting on that card to fight John Thompson. I was told I was going to have a replacement because I was going through a lawsuit or whatever. And then I was called by, Art Palulo Banner, and he told me, the fight was still on. So I tried to kill myself to go see our sports doctor out here in San Pedro, Dr. Glutman, and then come back. I saw him on Wednesday, and I tried to make weight after everything had cleared through from me seeing Dr. Glutman, and I never made weight. It was never enough time for me to drop the 12 pounds plus, and that was the becoming of my destruction that night.
So that happens. Obviously, can't change the result. What's past is past. What got you to make the dive into the Contender?
All my loved ones, my trainer, everybody who did believe in me when I did have them 3 years off. I mean, that line of people, that group of people, it became very thin, slim. But I never stopped believing in myself. I never doubted myself. I understood, and I became one with the fact that I knew that was a shell of me when I fought John Thompson, and I knew it was way much more in the tank, and I'm very much capable of a lot more. So when I figured, like, when I finally had said yes to the Contender, I had in my mind, there was no doubt in my mind that I wasn't gonna win. It didn't matter who was gonna be on the show at that point. So that's pretty much what it was, man. It was self-belief and then my core system.
Yeah, so several months ago you beat Shane Mosley Jr. to win it at the Forum. Now, it's a little bit different. I remember the first edition of the Contender was on NBC, and it changed the life of the Latin Snake, Sergio Mora, who's really parlayed that into some great stuff. When you won it, did it feel life-changing, or did it feel like, okay, this just might open up a door or two? You're already shaking your head, by the way.
I mean, I didn't know what the sport of boxing would hold for me because of the past.
Right.
So I take everything with a grain of salt, man. I'm very grateful for every opportunity that comes, man. But after that fight and how everything turned out, I wasn't sure what was going to become of it. I knew I was going to go back and fight at 54. They threw names at me that was interested in fighting me, and I was very much interested in fighting everybody at 154. So it was just more so of me getting that opportunity. But like I said, man, I never knew when it was going to come. I fought in November, and then I was offered to fight, Triple G and Charlo like around, just about 2 months ago. So that, you never know.
So basically, beating Mosley Jr. was just a way to make some money, and you pick up a trophy. So you were able to parlay that, so that's a great thing. Now, when you look at Charlo, do you realize how big of an underdog most people believe that you are?
Yeah, but I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I always understood, in this sport of boxing, man, if you didn't come up a certain way, then you got to go through the back door. And I don't mind going through the back door. I don't mind fighting him in his hometown. I don't mind, having to put in work, to dedicate myself to put in, the work to get these opportunities, because that's who I've always been my whole life. I've never been able to just get anything front and center. I've always had to bust my chops to get whatever I needed or wanted in life. So I don't mind that, you know what I'm saying? I endure ignore that. I challenge it. I tell it to, bring it on, and I put my best foot forward.
Do you believe, Brandon, that there's an air of intimidation that both Charlo brothers try to exude upon their opponents, and that if it doesn't work, that they back off a little bit?
You know what? To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at how they do, the things that they do, but I do recognize, that it was a pattern of how they do go to these weigh-ins or view their fighters, their opponents or whomever they was going up against, their versus. And me personally, man, as you can see, I smile when I see them dudes. I talk loud, I'll be honest all up and down the board because, I don't have the same fear or worries that all the other fighters have, probably because it's part of me being ignorant, probably. It's just, I started boxing kind of late, so I don't have them same emotions nor fears or worries, man. I'm up in here for opportunities. I'm up in here to better the people around me and maybe the guys that's going to be on the receiving hands of these punches when we fight, you know what I mean?
So even going to Houston, that's not an issue for you?
Nah, I got a real big feeling that Houston's gonna embrace me, especially after June 29th.
So, final question: how do you win this fight? How do you upset the apple cart?
By winning, in general. By winning. Boxing it's a tricky sport, man. You never know how things turn out, but I do recognize that. I do know and understand my position and role in this fight. So I plan on going out there and making sure that, you can't take it away from me, even though I'm fighting him in his hometown. And I understand, I'm fighting against him and his promotion. It's all love. It's still an opportunity. And once I seize it, everybody will start believing in the same stuff that I believe in.
All right, so there it is. Brandon Adams challenging Jermell Charlo for the interim WBC middleweight title. The co-main of this night is Erickson Lubin, a 154-pound contender. Going on to the fight review real quick for Showbox Sloan, Iowa. Mario, your boy Sebastian Too Tall Fundora scores a third-round knockout over Hector Zepeda.
Yes.
One thing I've noticed about him, two things. He's getting stronger physically. Like, you can see his body filling out. And as tall as he is, I went back to a couple of, nobody's in a rush to rush this kid and go inside. He grinds people up.
Is he struggled to make that weight, do you know?
I think one day he'll actually be like a light heavyweight. I really mean that. And right now he's at 54. I have not heard anything about that. No.
Huh. Because it seems that at middleweight he'd have his most lucrative opportunities, right?
I would think so.
By the way, and he'd still be enormous for that size.
He's enormous for heavyweight.
Right.
Think about it. He's
Exactly.
3-4 inches taller than Andy Ruiz.
Wow. Isn't
He
that
looks
crazy?
face to face, basically, with Anthony Joshua and probably an inch or two smaller than Tyson Fury.
Yeah, damn. That's crazy.
But, I mean, the way he just, it's like walking into, those airplane propellers from the old planes? That's what it's like walking into. No one's in a rush to get inside the trenches. And if you go all the way outside, you're never going to hurt this guy. So this guy's actually a very intriguing prospect.
He is. I'm looking forward to seeing him develop.
Physically, he is starting to fill in. And I guess we'll put this in the fight review section. Mario, Saturday night, I'm on Twitter, as I always am, and people are raving about this bare-knuckles undercard. It was like World War III happening, and oh my God, this is great. So I said, okay, so my curiosity got the best of me.
Did you end up purchasing?
No, I ended up, I found a way to watch the Lobov-Malignaggi fight.
Okay.
And it turned out that was the worst fight of the card by far.
That's what I heard, but the undercards were great.
Unbelievable. People loved it.
Did you get to see any of the undercards? No, buddy of mine in here. No. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I want to get back to the undercard. Now I'm intrigued to go back to the undercard. What are your thoughts on bare-knuckle fighting before we get to Paulie?
When the skill level is good or when they're evenly matched, it's not bad.
I can't believe this is sanctioned. Can you believe it's sanctioned? It's unbelievable.
Well, yeah. I mean,
in this day and age, I can't believe as sensitive as people are. Okay, now tell me about the fight. Because I heard that Paulie maybe should have got the nod. It was really close, but it was a bad fight nonetheless.
It was, to me, halfway through, I'm like, you guys spent more time with this fake hate than actually fighting. And
Do they go, how many rounds do they go?
they go 5 2-minute rounds.
5, and that's it.
Right.
5 2-minute rounds. Wow, it's like a cockfight.
Paulie-
It's just boom.
Look, I will always respect Paulie because I thought he got as much ability out of anybody that won a world title, actually won 2 world titles of this recent generation. He had bad hands, couldn't really swat. He was slick, but he wasn't untouchable. And he went up against a lot of good guys. But on this particular night,
it was a lose-lose situation.
He looked old.
Yeah.
I thought the fight was close enough. I don't have a problem with the decision.
Well, he was talking about wanting to get in there with Conor, he'd murder him, and then Conor's boy ends up coming out here.
His sparring partner.
Oh, man, it's not
and the other bad
It was a lose-lose, no matter what.
And I didn't know this, but this guy Lobov, I guess his record in MMA is below 500. He's 13-15. So it's not like you lost to this elite guy. And let me ask you something. Do you think it's a bad look for boxing, like some people are trying to surmise, that boxing lost on this night?
No, because of the stage in his career that he's at. It's sort of like when James Toney went to go have that one MMA fight against Randy Couture.
Oh, what a terrible idea.
You're not going to hold that against James Toney when he was,
And by the way, I don't know if you saw it, but Paulie has this huge gash.
Yes.
And guess what? He's on Showtime this week.
Really?
And that's another thing. If I'm Showtime.
That's why I thought it was unnecessary.
Right.
I question his whole logic behind it.
Do you think, I've said this before, when Roy Jones was fighting unnecessarily during the last 6-7 years of his career, and he was still on HBO, now you have Paulie with Showtime, right? And these guys are still taking real shots one way or the other. As a network, do you say, you got to make a choice here? We pay you very well. We don't want you any more damage because now you have to articulate thoughts. You have to be sharp on your feet. Do you think a network has the right or should say to certain guys at a certain age, you either quit or we're going to get another analyst?
I think they can have a side conversation. I don't think you'd be able to put that in paper and it could be a deal point. Seriously, because as long as something.
But wait a minute, can't like NBA teams say you can't go skydiving? Aren't there other
endeavors
where they say you can't go BMX bike riding?
But that makes sense, right? Because if they're physically
skydiving,
right. This they're not to broadcast. There's no physical as long as your mouth can move. I don't think it's a good look for the brand.
Right,
and
exactly.
I agree. Can they prohibit them? They should, but I don't think they can legally.
Yeah,
it's weird, and so I'm curious to see how. Because I think he's a good broadcaster.
No, very good.
See how he handles it.
But see, if I'm the Kim Network and I'm signing an ex-fighter that's on that precipice, I'd say, you know what? I want to sign you to a 3-fight deal and a 3-year deal. Do all our fights. You're going to be our John Madden on one condition. All of this will come to an end. If you decide to fight, it's null and void. That's what I would personally say.
That. No, I think that's a good way to go forward.
Yeah. Mario, fight preview real quickly. ESPN Plus and The Zone. On Friday, they'll have various cards. Check your local listings. Also, Mayweather Promotions, they have a Facebook card. Then Saturday, Punch Up the Zone from the famed Dunkin' Donuts Arena in Providence, Rhode Island. Demetrius Andre defends his WBO middleweight title against Maciev Sulecki. Also on the card, heavyweight Joe Parker and Cal Yafai. Mario, going to Demetrius Andre, he's got the other belt at middleweight. Don't you think with him, style points matter? He just can't stink it out and win. For a guy like him who wants a Golovkin or Canelo, you better make a statement, and it would really help if you're entertaining for once.
Yeah, he needs it if he wants to be in conversations for fights with that. Otherwise, he's
just a guy. Just a jag.
He's a jag.
Just a guy. Moving on to news and notes, Mario, the WBO has installed Alexander Usyk as their #1 mandatory contender at heavyweight. Now, let me make this very clear. In their bylaws, and the BC has rules like this too, if you do enough at a certain weight class and you start stacking title defenses or unification bouts, you can go up or down and almost immediately petition to say, I want to be #1, and they will grant you this. Based on Usyk's resume, I thought this was a no-brainer.
Let me tell you something. I agree, but I also think this is bad news for Andy. The Destroyer Ruiz.
Styles make fights?
Styles make fights, and I think this guy, I think he's chomping at the bit to get in there.
Give me a little Duke.
He's all wrong for it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Don't need that kind of man. By the way, Rocky was on this past weekend.
That's one
on the
movie you always have to
Network.
watch, right?
Dude, I always got to stop to watch it. It's like this, Still, there was, what I realized, like I couldn't remember when he was walking into the ring at the end. Do you remember he walked into the ring with no gloves?
Yeah,
him and Apollo. Who does that?
That used to be but that used to be the tradition, though.
Did they really?
Oh, for years, all the way up in the 70s and maybe early 80s.
I never.
Yeah, that's not just a Hollywood thing. If you watch the Ray Robinson,
that's good. I'm glad you're telling me.
The Ray Robinson, Joe Louis, that era, they used to just wrap the glove right there.
Wrap them right there in the ring.
That's real life. That's actually pretty.
Wow. I thought I was such a faux pas. Right? Oh, thank you for sharing that with me. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
What a trip.
Watch those old tapes, black and white.
Wow,
And the guys
that
were
would
getting
take a
gloved up.
second and said, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's a trip.
So that's actually something I really liked about that.
I'm glad I brought it up
Yeah.
then. Thank you for sharing that.
Going back to Usyk, talk to his attorney, John Hornauer. They are very well under the assumption that the Ruiz-Joshua fight will happen. They're not trying to cut in front. They're just saying this is our positioning.
The winner of the fight.
Yeah, the winner of the fight. And there's no doubt about it because remember, Usyk, before his bicep injury, was supposed to fight Carlos Takam, pretty tough, rugged guy, on May 25th. Well, as soon as Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, then Team Usyk said, wait a minute, that guy? Oh, no, let's enforce it.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a heavyweight fight before then, but they know, they are, like you said, understanding the styles at play.
And they're next, assuming Ruiz wins again. Which, by the way, I think is a very strong possibility.
Yes.
But if Joshua wins again, well, then you have to have a trilogy.
Yes.
One each, assuming it's competitive and
Right.
stuff. Then he's going to have to continue to
Right,
win.
and again, a lot of this will have to do with the fact that, remember this, there's also some chess pieces at play here. Eddie Hearn has a piece of both Joshua and Alexander Usyk, so he's protecting his cover. So one way or the other, like
He's
Don
good either
King,
way.
Right, he wants to have a piece of that heavyweight title. Let's take a look. What else is going? Oh, the WBO has ordered their 130-pound champion, Jermell the Fighting Marine Herring, to take on his mandatory contender, Lamont Roach. There will be a 30-day negotiating period. If not, they will go to a purse bid. Moving on to the Ask Mario segment of the show from Joey Ryan. What's the one rematch that you wish would have been made but never was? I got two of them.
De La Hoya Trinidad, which I've
Came right
talked
to mind
about.
at 154. Would have loved that.
At 154, because I thought he beat him the first
And that's
time.
when business was usurped by personalities, Don and Bob. And I'll never forget in the...
And there was so much business to be made.
Oh, at 54? Yes. It would have been a bigger fight. I think the
Yes.
controversy would have helped it.
Exactly.
I'll never forget. It's winter of 1999.
Right.
And we all assume they're still going to get the
Right.
Tito and Oscar, part 2. Then all of a sudden, the fax machine, that's Don King, used to, bzz, 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 that's my fax machine. Bzz, bzz, bzz. We're seeing this paper, and we see this Don King logo come out. We're like, what's this? Out of nowhere, it was Felix Trinidad's going to fight David Reed in March of 2000. We're like, what?
He went up
And
in
at
weight.
that point, they just separated ways.
You know what other one comes to mind? There's many, but the other one that comes to mind, Lennox Lewis and Vitaly Klitschko.
Ooh, you're right.
That was a
'cause
hell of a first
I was
fight.
there.
And if the eye didn't betray him, I thought he was going to. Wouldn't you like to see that
yeah,
round? That
absolutely.
round
And
two?
Lennox just said, you know what? I've had enough. The
Right.
needle is on E. Here's one that tragically never happened and it involved two all-time greats, Salvador Sanchez, Azuma Nelson.
Oh, you're going back.
Yeah, because Azuma Nelson actually came in his 13th fight to
Yeah.
fight Salvador
Right.
Sanchez at Madison Square Garden as a
Right.
late replacement. For 12, 13 rounds, he was neck and neck, and then the greatness of Salvador Sanchez pulled
It was
away.
the power of the fro.
But in 2-3 years, that could have been one of the great
Yes.
rematches in boxing history. Here's one from Todo Corazon Boxeo. Mario, you're a gym rat and a white-collar pugilist. Who could you beat in BKFC 7?
BK, what is that, the bare-knuckle?
Yeah. You could beat some guys. You can beat some guys.
I mean, I feel all right.
Well, how
I had to
about in
defend
the
myself.
celebrity division, you're pound for pound number 1.
Well, thank you, Kimster.
Yeah. Would you ever consider that?
I'd fight on the undercard of Bieber and Tom Cruise.
Ah, okay. Now, would you ever consider that for charity against another? We talked about
Happy
this.
to do
Yeah.
that against a
Now,
charity
against the
and
pro,
everything.
though,
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
Well, you know,
Not bare knuckle though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Ooh,
bare-knuckle.
bare
on
knuckle.
TV, that's
Forget
too much.
that.
No, no.
Don't get crazy, Nichols.
Yeah, no, I was
don't get
saying
crazy.
you should not do that.
No. I would do the MMA too.
Ooh.
I do MMA either if it was for charity. Yeah, I'd have fun doing it if it was legit for charity.
Derek Williamson says, if you could choose what your one last meal would be and money was no object, what would you choose?
That was a very popular question that we ask on the radio show. Your death row meal. Oh, dude, it'd be a marathon.
Yeah, yours is crazy.
Mine is
It's like
crazy.
everything.
It's like exactly. I'd have to start off with some, cóctel de camarón, right? Those shrimp cocktail old school
yes,
style, right?
yes.
Loaded, how I like them. And then a couple good, carne asada tacos or adobada and all the taco entrees.
it's lunch. I'm
Carne
getting
de
hungry right now just
taco de
listening to
lengua and
man.
carne adobada, all that great stuff. Buche. Let me see. And then that. By the way, this is like every Sunday. Have some Casa Mexico tequila. Right there, drinking some Casa Mexico tequila.
the branding. Love the
throughout
branding.
the whole. You like that?
Till the
throughout
end,
the
yes.
whole. Tostada de ceviche too with a mayonnaise in the
Ooh.
avocado. I do my marisco. It's my Sunday move, basically. I'm down with that. So it's Sunday and I go
That
peace.
sounds good.
Right?
You keep it Mexican.
Yeah, dude, that's the bomb.
Orale. Here's one from
Hey,
your
I told you I had those cevichiladas. It's a michelada
you showed
with
me
ceviche.
pictures.
I'm going to have that at my next party. It's ceviche and then a michelada. It sounds crazy, but they were good.
I am intrigued by that, my
Okay.
friend. Here's one from Don of
You like
House
micheladas, right?
Hustle. Who doesn't? I mean, is the Pope Catholic? Ask Mario. We know Keith Thurman has trouble with body shots. Does Pac-Man land the one that stops him?
I'm so fascinated by this fight. I can't wait for it to happen. What have you heard of how Manny's been looking in the gym?
I'm going to go see him Wednesday, in fact, at the Wild Card. I'm going to
Ooh.
drop in, get to see his workout.
I wanna go.
I just wonder if Thurman is going to actually stand and deliver. I mean, will he? Because Freddie is absolutely convinced. He goes, Steve, first time we hit him with a hard left, he's going to scamper around the ring. He's going to run around the ring like a Kenyan in a marathon. That's what he believes.
I want him to be like
Now-
Edward James Olmos, stand
Yes,
and deliver.
stand and deliver. Orale. One thing that I heard, they're not doing VADA drug testing. I think that's a bad look. In today's day and age, with these two big fighters, they can do it. Come
Well,
on.
That's just they just didn't want to do it, huh?
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Manny's had no problems doing extra drug testing for the last 6-7 years.
Manny's not the one I'm worried about.
Ooh, okay, interesting. Here's the Yo Mama side piece again. Mario, what does he? What
Is that
does
a
he-
handle?
Yeah,
I like that guy.
Yeah, what does he think of the Twitter war and the bare-knuckle challenge of Henry Cejudo to Vasyl Lomachenko?
Oh, he's just trolling. He's not serious about that. I told you that I think resume-wise, Cejudo's probably one of the best combat athletes of all time.
Right.
Right?
But
I think-
if it's just stand-up,
Oh, no,
no,
of course not.
no.
Of course not. And he knows better. He's just trolling. It's just, he's a little guy trying to. By the way, I wish you wouldn't do that because they're all taking this Conor WWE mentality. When you're that good, just it's not a good look.
I
Especially
saw
in Mexicano, too. It's
footage
like, come on.
of, I believe, Lomachenko and his manager, Igor Klimas, good friend of our show, is in Thailand or something. He's doing some, like, kickboxing training or Thai training.
Right, I saw that.
Man, Lomachenko can kick like Bruce Lee.
He's just an athletic
He's
dude.
a natural,
He's an
natural athlete.
That guy, and he obviously looks like an athlete, but not to segue too much, but I love that right now the two heavyweight champions in both MMA and boxing are built like with the dad bods, with
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz and Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes to
Goes to
show.
show you. It's not a bodybuilding contest.
It's not. It's all about skill set.
Here's one from Robert Montano. What do you think has been Puerto Rico's downfall when it comes to their talent and championships in boxing? What can they do to get back into the mix of world titles? Mario, this is an amazing stat in terms of men's boxing. They have nada world champions because with Acosta losing and Machado losing.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. They have a couple of good young fighters, Cotto Promotions, in Carlos
Cotto came a
Caraballo.
long way to watch that.
Yeah, and
Machado,
Danielito Zorrilla. Well, I'm glad someone showed up for that fight that was representing those fighters.
Ooh.
Here's my thing with
Cota's ice.
here's my thing with Cotto Promotions and Golden Boy. Why are you bringing Puerto Rican fighters to Fantasy Springs in Indio, California? There's a place called Puerto Rico in New York that has a lot of Puerto Ricans. And let me go back to that stoppage of Acosta. If you're in New York or in Puerto Rico, you don't think that referee gives it a couple of more seconds?
That's a good point.
These things matter, the home canvas advantage. But I think these things are cyclical. I think Puerto Rico is going to produce more world champions down the line. And finally, Mario, where is your favorite Chinese restaurant in L.A.?
Chinese, interesting. I haven't. There's one right by my neighborhood a little gourmet 88, like a little place that I'll just go to. I love me a good wonton soup, but I don't really go to. I'll go more Thai or sushi when I think about it, right? But a good Chinese, I need a good Chinese, and downtown or Chinatown's not far from me. I gotta go to.
There's
a
that
good
one
spot.
that the National Enquirer told us you got kicked out of
You're
for
so
demanding
stupid.
something.
Oh, man. Wow,
I was like, you
Frazier.
just come here
you
to
had
talk
to bring
shit,
that
Frazier?
one up.
I
That's
think-
a lie.
Frazier
National
off the
Enquirer.
top rope.
Stupid.
Oh,
Got kicked out of
all
a
right.
Chinese
I had a great Chinese meal.
You got a Chinese? Good
Yes,
Chinese
and well, it's not really in L.A. though. It's at Fantasy Springs. It's called Joy.
That's far, Holmes.
No, I know, but I agree. If you're ever at Fantasy Springs, go to
Springs.
Joy because there is no pain. It's very good.
Pump it up. Pump it up.
A little second Raw Bates reference tonight. And one last thing, Domingo asked is Anthony Joshua the second coming of Michael Grant? No, come on. Anthony Joshua had one bad night. He unified 3 of the belts. He's not Michael Grant. I think that's an unfair comparison. Going on to the final flurries, Maury, I really enjoyed your conversation with the controversial Candace Owens. If you have not seen it, go on YouTube. I watched it yesterday. Boy, nicely done.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And it's unfortunate that she is considered controversial just because she has a difference of opinion from what a lot of the liberal media has, and she's very intelligent, makes a lot of great points, and she's very brave. And so, I've always considered myself I'm registered as independent and but a conservative guy, and I'm all about faith and family and wanting to see everyone win and communities to go stronger. So, I like to take things on a case-by-case basis, independent thinker.
Yeah.
As I know you are, too,
No,
Ken.
so am I. But here's the thing. Do you ever get nervous about even bringing these? Because you know how sensitive people are.
Especially in the Hollywood community.
Yes, exactly. I really believe if I'm a guy like you, I'd be like, I don't want to say. I'd be like Bill Belichick. We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to
We're on to Cincinnati.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, well, let's go on our next flurry.
Yeah.
We're on to Cincinnati.
Right, I'm going to go on the record. I'm not a Dodger fan. I'm not. But
I am.
if the Dodgers don't win the World Series,
Come on.
it'll be a letdown. They look like a team of destiny.
Can you believe that? Honestly, how hard is it to even get to a World Series? Ask Chicago, ask Boston. It's been decades, right? These fools have got their 2 years in a row, and it looks like they might go again. If the pitching staff stays healthy, can you imagine going into the postseason with a healthy pitching staff? And how about the kids? How about my boy Verdugo?
Young
Comes out to
reinforcements.
Volver. I love it. And then Will Smith, not the actor, out here both with
The
the
Fresh
walk-off
Prince of
home run.
Chavez Ravine.
That's great. Man, no, it's exciting. And we love to go, so it's exciting. What I can't believe it.
Mario, something happened at the Dodger game on Sunday. It's very unfortunate. Remember,
Oh, yes.
Real Sports had a story about the netting or why they should do it. Okay,
Yes.
now, I know you get various seats all over. Last year we went to the game. We were in a box, which was great. Now, I played baseball my whole life, so I kind of know watch the plate. I think a lot of people need to be careful. If you're going to sit in certain areas, I know, and it's funny to say this, you better actually pay attention to the game.
I won't go if I'm not behind the netting. Seriously,
Really?
I won't. Can't
Especially because you have
relax.
kids, too,
Oh,
right?
well, definitely
Yeah.
not go with the kids without behind the netting. In Japan, they've gone all the way
Yes, they
down
do.
the full, and it's not. I think
Hasn't
we're
affected attendance.
No, of course not. I think we're going to get to the point where that'll happen, and then we'll be like, I can't believe it took this long to do it. Man, no, when you see, and then that little baby that got hit.
And Bellinger was nice enough to kind of check in, like,
yeah,
hey,
no,
you
Bellinger
doing?
was cool. No, I mean, it's not a player's
Someone
fault.
died last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. It's just
At the
it's-
Dodger Stadium.
And the HBO Real Sports story pointed out the disclaimer on the back of the ticket basically gives you no rights.
Of course not.
Your
You
head
both
could
are
be
your own
taken
risk,
off.
Of course.
You get nothing.
Same as hockey too. If the puck goes
They
flying.
put the net
so-
all the way up there now.
Yeah.
No, right, but
Yeah.
like if you.
So I
take
didn't
that-
know that. So you will say no netting, no Lopez.
I'm not gonna go. I won't go. I won't go because I just dude. Because
Yeah.
I like to. I'm drinking, hanging out, you're socializing. That's what's great about baseball. It's
Yeah.
slow. You turn your head 2 seconds, freaking foul
Yeah.
ball comes, cracks you in the dome. Forget that.
Yeah.
Takes out your teeth, cracks your nose, or kills you. My God.
Yeah. Mario, the NBA, have they jumped the shark? Have they gone overwoke when they say you can't use the term owner?
Yo.
I mean, come on.
What do you call them then if you own the team?
Governors.
How is that degrading? Because you
The
own
governors.
the team. They call them the governor. That's just, come on, man. Minority owners are what? Sergeants?
Yeah, I just, to
What
me,
is
I just,
ice?
again, when you
We're getting
are
too
so
sensitive, too crazy. Overwoke.
it is. That's exactly what it is. I don't understand it. Look, a lot of the players, they own businesses.
Are
Do they
not
call
owners?
themselves governors of their small businesses?
Right.
I mean, and if you really look at it, because I know there's a whole thing about most of the league being a certain makeup. At the end of the day, these guys have contracts, and the owners don't own the players. They have contracts with the players. The players have rights. They're not indentured servants. They get to become free agents.
They're fully guaranteed.
They're
in the NBA
fully
too.
guaranteed, unlike the NFL.
Right.
And they have a collective bargaining agreement that protects a lot of their rights as human beings and athletes.
It's absurd. It's absurd.
Well, speaking of absurd, I hope I won't upset people, but schools that are named for historical figures, it is what it is. It's part of our history. And you brought up a story. I thought it was a joke. But you're telling me high schools or institutions that are named after people like Robert E. Lee, the general.
Robert E. Lee, the general.
They're
of course.
changing the name.
Schools named after Robert E. Lee are picking new Lees to be named after to avoid costly signage changes.
Right.
Okay? So I vote for Bruce Lee.
Wow. As an Asian,
Bruce Lee.
I love
school.
that one.
I will take my kid out of Catholic school and put him into Bruce Lee Elementary. If it was
their
if
karate
that was the
team
case.
better be state championship level.
Who are you gonna? I mean, who are you gonna go with over Bruce Lee? Stanley, perhaps.
I can see a
Art program would be
Lee,
very good.
Or Sarah Lee,
Sarah
the baker.
Lee, the bakery. Oh, I got one.
Who?
Andy Lee as a boxer.
Oh gosh,
Andy
not
Lee,
worthy,
also
not worthy.
San Francisco 49ers punter by the same name.
Old school, yeah. He's been
Andy
gone
Lee.
for a couple
Come
years.
on,
yeah.
come on. Can you go
Lee Trevino?
Lee Trevino? Yeah, no, you know what? You should. Lee Trevino in where is he from? El Paso, Texas.
Yeah, the golfer, yeah.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Ooh.
Wait, I
Can't
don't
go.
think we're going to
And
change
also,
this.
a relatively obscure Kronk fighter from the 80s, very good
How
puncher.
about this?
Dangerous Don Lee.
How about this in Malibu? Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee?
Old school Niner, Lee Woodall.
Lee Woodall.
If you're in Brooklyn, Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
Okay, that could happen.
Bruce Lee's the best.
Now,
I'm sorry,
Bruce Lee's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, don't you want to go to Bruce Lee?
I do. I'll go back
Mario,
to
now
school.
now these schools that might have a monument
Cold as ice.
or a logo, don't they have to replace all that?
You go with an Enter the Dragon logo.
Ooh, I
How
like
dope
that.
would that be?
Yes. And every graduation, everyone wears a karate gi.
There you go.
Right? With a black belt and
Go back to
everything.
school.
Not a
for that.
diploma, you get a belt.
Right.
So, Mario, one show announcement. Next week is 4th of July weekend or week. We're taking it off. We deserve a break. We've been working hard, man.
Yeah. You know where I'm going? I haven't even told you.
Where?
Dubai.
Dubai. A little oil
Next
money
week,
there.
Yes. Check
Little
this out. I didn't
oil
tell you
money?
guys.
I like
So they sent me
that.
this thing for travel in Dubai. Let me read it to you real quick. Because it's got extremely strict rules and ruthless law enforcement
Sharia law.
that poses the biggest threat to Western visitors.
Mm.
Okay, who aren't accustomed to being restricted by laws as conservatives. These are things that are illegal in Dubai. Displays of affection.
Ooh.
Okay, especially between unmarried or homosexual partners. Drunken behavior, illegal.
Uh-oh.
Dressing immodestly.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I can't go.
Swearing, making rude gestures, photographing people without their permission,
Ooh.
having Israeli citizenship.
Whoa.
Is that crazy? Soliciting escorts in Dubai and much more. It's a list they gave us. I was like, damn.
So it's
Dang.
debunked.
It's Dubai. Isn't that crazy? Those are all real. So they don't play over there.
Last year, the fight between Calum Smith and George Groves, the World Boxing Super Series finals at 68, was in Jeddah, and they had similar rules.
Jeddah, please.
Jeddah, please. People that were there said, Steve, never again. They're like, no.
Although I
They're-
hear Dubai gets fun, but it'll be a quick trip.
Wait a minute. Are you even allowed to drink, though? Or is it just you
Oh
can't
no,
be
you
intoxicated?
can't just act a fool, which I wish was a law here. Seriously.
How long are you going to be there?
Like 3 days.
3
It's a
days.
quick trip. Well, the only reason it's 3 days is because I'm having a baby any minute. We
Uh-huh.
might have it by the time we come back. So, I don't want to miss the birth.
Now, is
so
this
it's
a
just 3
business
days.
or pleasure
No, it's
trip?
business.
It is business.
I don't go anywhere unless it's business.
All right.
I go with the family, on a vacation, but by myself, unless it's business.
Yeah,
that's all I
Oscar's
go.
Mario's going to be the owner of an oil well by the time he comes back.
I hope so.
Me
All
too.
right.
Shoot.
All right. By the way, folks, there's 3 Knockdown Rule mug and everything else that is associated. By the way, there's a new logo someone else made
Dude,
for
that
us.
logo, can I post that?
In a few hours, yes. in a
Okay,
few
I will
hours.
I
Please
haven't,
do.
I haven't seen it.
It's dope.
Oh, it's very good. It's very
Color.
good.
It's in color.
Color.
I'm going to post that.
I've never looked better. It looks so unrealistic. Anyway,
That's
all right.
true.
Anyway,
You are
Yeah,
handsome.
go to the 3knockdownrule.com for all your official 3 Knockdown Rule gear. So on behalf of Mario Lopez and Justin Buffalo Nichols, folks, we'll see you in 2 weeks.